Hey everybody, thanks for joining me on my live stream. Looks like I got it started just about on time. At the last minute, I was just getting ready to start this, and I realized that the mosquitoes were starting to eat me up. We've got a lot of mosquitoes around here this year, and so I thought I'd better run up, put some bug spray on, or they're gonna eat me alive while I'm standing around out here. I just know eventually I'm gonna get West Nile virus or something, the amount of mosquitoes we have around here. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. I've done a couple of these live streams over on HGMM, mainly just kind of taking the camera around or my phone around and showing, the stuff that I'm doing around the house. And I like the system. If this works out, and if I can, get more used to it, more used to live streaming, I'd like to do these whenever I post a video afterwards so that I can answer some of your questions and that sort of thing. And possibly, I think it might be better if I can use the regular live streaming, which has, which I can bring my camera out here, and I can Wirecast or something. Get extra fancy with it, huh? But right now I'm just using my phone, so I'm sorry if the quality might be a little bit crappy here. The lighting also I noticed on my phone, and this just might be my phone, it seems like I get really washed out. My phone was compressing my face, but it doesn't seem to be doing that anymore, so that's good. I hope you guys enjoyed the project. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet, you can watch it later, watch it now, whatever you want to do. It was, because I just posted it an hour ago, and it was the kind of project that, does the world really need another planter box video? And so that was kind of my thought going into this, but I thought about it and I thought, this is the kind of project that, I don't know, I think a lot of us have to do. When I say have to do, we're compelled to do because things need to get done around the house. And they're not always going to be fine woodworking projects. And for me, as producing content, those are the projects that take up so much time. But I'm thinking, well, do I really want to post a project of another planter box video? So I tried to shoot the video in a way that sort of took you along the journey with me of planning and executing a simple project like that. And I think it turned out pretty well. And I kind of like that format too. So I think in the future, I may approach those simpler projects like that more, and I guess you'd call it more of like a vlog style video, where I just kind of show you what's going on with it rather than making a whole production out of it. But of course I'll still do the regular woodworking videos. But I think that's one of the things so many of us who get into woodworking, we develop this mindset that every project has to be so special, and we overbuild them, and we also kind of have this mindset that everything we built has to last for 100 years, or it has to be this substantial thing, when it doesn't always have to be that way. Of course there's nothing wrong with doing that, and in the past I've spent months working on projects back before I was making videos, and there's certainly a lot of satisfaction to that. But I think that there's also a huge range of projects that we can build that are fun to build, they're quick to build, and we don't have to worry so much about the joinery and everything with them. Just get them together and assume that they're going to last a few years. I mean, really, I've got a lot of projects around here that after a few years, I just get tired of them and we give them away or whatever. Hey, thank you, if I can read this. Thank you for the what are those called? Those super chat, and that is from, hang on, you guys have to forgive my aging eyes here when I'm trying to read the names. From Ben. Ben, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I hope to be an inspiration to everybody. And I don't know, I guess everybody kind of says that they want to be an inspiration, but really I just want to inspire people just to try things and to not overcomplicate everything. I want to answer, let me turn down the brightness on my phone now that I read that, because my phone will die pretty soon if I don't. I wanted to answer a couple of the questions on the YouTube video. There's always some micro jig comments. Thank you all for the micro jig comments. I think those are kind of funny. Oh, somebody was asking me. This is from Gazergors. Boy, that's a Czech name, perhaps. Asked me if I use SketchUp Make or SketchUp Pro, and that's a really common question I get asked. And I use SketchUp Make, which is the free program. And when Google owned SketchUp, they made it very clear that this is a free program. Use it however you like. But then they sold it to Trimble. I think it's Trimble is the name of the company that does SketchUp now. And they're a little bit more coy about that, kind of leading you to believe that you have to eventually buy the full version. And you don't. Just get the Make version is what it's called. And if you get a notice that says you need to upgrade, you need to decide or something, just ignore it. You'll still be able to use the free version. The full Pro version, I don't think has anything that, well, it certainly doesn't have anything I need. I don't think it has anything that most woodworkers would really need. You got to remember, SketchUp is a program that's used for all kinds of things, from architecture to machining to designing small parts, everything. And woodworking, we just use that one little portion of it. And I should also mention that I'm really not that good at SketchUp. I'm really good at making things that are square. And if it's got complex curves or something, it's really difficult for me. And it's really one of the reasons why I just give away my plans, because I don't think my plans are really good enough to sell. Because really I make my plans for myself so that I can follow along with what I've designed in the shop and then just give them away afterwards. So a lot of you, I know a lot of you make the projects from my plans, and I sometimes worry that you're going to get messed up on those, or I've done something wrong on those, because they're really intended just for myself and I'm just kind of giving them to you guys. But I think for the most part they seem to work and the measurements seem accurate. And then on projects like this one today, I have plans and I posted them on my website, but that's not the kind of project that I don't think people want plans for, because those planners are going to be different sizes. Let's see, more questions. Hey, Tom from Homecraft Chronicles. You'll see him over on HGMM. He's one of our contributors over there. He said he's just figuring out part of using SketchUp. Yeah, I'm telling you, SketchUp is not that difficult to use once you learn the basics. The trick to using SketchUp is use components. Every piece, every board is a component. And then when you do multiple boards, like the back of something that has two of the same boards, you just have to copy that component. So you don't have to keep redrawing things, and use components. Let's see if there's any more questions. Hole stress syndrome. A couple of people mentioned my comment about drilling holes in walls and how I get stressed out over that. And I do. I don't know. Is this a thing with you guys? It's just, especially those toggle bolts. I wonder if I have one around here. You know the kind of toggle bolt that you have to drill a huge hole in the wall and then it goes in there and it opens up? Those are the worst, because if you screw up, you're left with this massive hole in the wall. And repairing big holes in drywall is just not fun. And even if once you get the hole repaired, then you gotta paint over it. I forgot to put bug spray on my legs. I'm getting bit down there. But then if you do patch a big hole in drywall, it's hard to match the paint, and I don't know. I guess that's why putting holes in walls always stresses me out, and it always takes more time than I think it's gonna take. And you know what's really hard to do, I think the worst thing to do is to try to line up picture frames. If you have, say, 3 or 4 picture frames and you want them all to be in a row, my solution is don't even try. Just make a design out of them. put them all cockeyed. Or for a while there in our hallway, my son, he took all, we had a whole bunch of pictures and he tipped them all on their sides. And I thought that was kind of interesting because everybody is always particular about squaring those up, but we kept them on the side. Kid Moon wants to see a picture of the end of the summer, what those planters are going to look like with the succulents growing in them. I will. I'll probably be posting that over on HGMM. I hope to be posting progress reports about this throughout the summer and how all the landscaping goes. we're not gonna do all the landscaping ourselves because it's just too much, and we've kind of let this place go for a long time without updating it. We've just kind of been in maintenance mode. So I do want to get some concrete poured along the side of the house, which will take care of a lot of the weeds. I was going to say weed problem. The problem with our weeds over there in the side yard, because they won't be able to grow. So I'll have to hire somebody for that. But right now it's a budget thing. How do we afford to do all this stuff when I got to get Wyatt through college? It's kind of our main concern right now. But we'll take it a little bit at a time. Those of you who own homes, you'll probably know this, but when you first get your home, your first thing you want to do is everything. You think, I got to do this, I got to do that again. I'm gonna put in a swimming pool. And it's just soon you realize that it's just impossible to do everything you want to do, and it's impossible to afford everything you want to do. So you just take it a little bit at a time and just kind of make do. RD134 enjoys the project, enjoys the video, and he can't wait to start woodworking. He doesn't have much space as a student. Yeah, space can be a problem, but remember, there's plenty of ways you can do woodworking in a small space. I used to do it on the rooftop of our apartment, and you don't need a lot. It just depends upon what kind of woodworking you want to do, I guess. If you really wanted to do small space woodworking, you could just get some hand tools and chisels and plane, and you could work on your kitchen table. I don't know if everybody would like you working on the kitchen table, but you could. Let's see. Somebody says, had your boxes been on an angle, not been on an angle, but horizontal, watering would have been easier. As they are, all your water will flow to the lowest point of the box. That's a good question. I actually thought about that when I designed those boxes, because they're going to be tipped, and would the water just go down? But I don't. One, they're succulents, so they don't require a lot of water. Water them once a week or even less sometimes. But I don't think that's the way water really works. Once it soaks in, especially if you water kind of slowly, it kind of soaks into the dirt and it retains it, so it doesn't just instantly flow out. But I'll keep you posted on that if it becomes a problem. We'll see. You're right though. I've never seen planter boxes at angles like that. A couple of comments about the planter boxes should have been purple. Yes. I knew those comments would come up too. I still have my purple bench for those of you who are wondering. It's out back in the front yard. I have the popsicle bench. We just love that popsicle bench. Somebody, follow-up question to last week's video. Somebody wants to know, now have I decided, do I like Reese with or spoon or Reese without her spoon? Call back to a micro jig joke. Okay, Michael says, won't you end up with moisture stuck between the bottom of the case and the bottom rail that they're supported on? Wouldn't raising them a 1/4 inch have been better? I don't know how much rain you get but where I'm from with deck stain, that won't last too long. Yeah, it's another thing I kind of considered is everywhere that those planters are touching the railing, if water is going to collect there. I don't think that's too much of a problem. Most of the split that I have on the bottom of the planter boxes, I left a 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch space between them for drainage, and that part sticks out beyond the rail that it's sitting on. The rail is here, the box sits here, and right over here is the split. So I think most of the water will drain straight out. It already has. As we've watered them the first time, it kind of just falls straight down. I suppose it's possible to get under there, you know, for water to collect under there. And again, it's the kind of thing that, well, if it does, it does. You know, at the time when we eventually take those off, I'm going to have to fill the holes and we'll repaint it anyway. So not that big of a concern. See, mosquitoes. Ugh. Okay. Oh, somebody was asking me about stickers. Yeah, if you want a sticker, send me a self-addressed stamped envelope and I'll send you out a Woodworking for Mere Mortals sticker. Let's see if I've got any other pertinent questions on YouTube. Now I'll try to get to some of the scrolling questions on the live stream. You guys having a good day? You enjoying yourselves? Oh, here's DIY giveaways and tutorials. Great project. For your DIY project, do you set a limit on how much you're going to spend? No, I don't really have set budgets for projects, but I kind of just intuitively know over the years how much something is going to cost. And I was guessing that these planter boxes the wood is really the only expense on those. I was expecting those to cost around $35 or so, and it costs about $40 for the lumber. And actually I have leftover. I usually buy a little bit extra because I screw up a lot. Plus, if I don't screw up, then I still have a lot extra pieces of lumber that I can use for other projects. The funny thing is, actually the succulents that we just went out night before last and bought to put in there, those cost more than the planter boxes did. But mostly I try to keep every project I make reined in. It is really easy to spend too much money on any project, really, and it's also a matter of choosing the right materials for a project. Whenever I can, I try to use pine boards that are the cheapest, or if it's going to be a really rough project, I'll buy furring strips. They sell those at Home Depot. They're, you know, 1x3s or 1x2s. They're real rough looking boards, but they're super cheap. I mean, you could, like an 8-foot 2x3 or 1x3 is, I don't know, $2.50 or something. They're really inexpensive. If you don't mind working with kind of rough lumber. I wonder if I have an example of that. Yeah, so here's a piece. Here's what kind of a furring strip might look like. There might be some edges that are kind of gnarly on it, but you can either plane that down, you can sand it down, or you can just kind of work with it. And if it's for an outdoor project, I'm going to paint them most likely anyway. The problem on where projects get expensive is where you start to buy exotic and hardwoods, specialty woods. And that, boy, the price can go up substantially, especially plywood, like cherry plywood, like I built my dining table with. That I used 1/4 inch cherry plywood just because it was so much cheaper, and then I could make kind of a torsion box and put it on like a veneer on top, because a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of 3/4 inch cherry or maple plywood, at least near where I live, will cost like $130, even more. So it's a substantial investment if you're going to do that. But I like using plywood for projects like that just because it's so straight and it's easy to work with. And as far as other hardwoods, I'm lucky enough that we live close enough to a couple of lumber yards that sell hardwood, lots of different species. It's fun to look through those, but you start to think about, I'm going to build a simple end table or something like that, you know, little things. No problem, I'll build that. I can have this done in a weekend. And then you go to the lumber yard and you figure out it's going to be $250 worth of lumber. And so that's when you got to think, well, maybe a painted pine piece would be nice. I shouldn't say painted, and I shouldn't give pine a bad rap because a lot of people give pine a bad rap. In fact, I was on a podcast last week with Hyla. A lot of you may know Hyla Johnson from Hyla Cooking. And so she had me on her podcast, and she asked me about pine and why don't people like pine? And I think it's just because it's so readily available, and I think if something is that available, it loses its inherent value to people. People don't see value in it. But I've seen galleries of pine furniture that is just gorgeous. You know, I think that the trick is to really work with the pine, work with the knots and the weird grain patterns, and try to find wood that is unusual. And that's kind of what I do when I go to Home Depot, for instance, because Home Depot, if you're going to buy lumber there, you got to spend a lot of time. You're going to save money, but you got to spend a lot of time looking through their lumber because some of it is just so twisted. It's just worthless. But if it's straight, then what I like to do is look for the boards that have weird blemishes and spots and knots, and then just really emphasize those. But you know what I've been thinking about doing is I've been thinking about making a project using nothing but warped wood. I don't know, like a bookcase or something that's just all warped. And I think it would be challenging to try to get it to work. You'd have to make some concessions. I mean, there would have to be parts where you're going to have to mill them straight just to get things to join together. But I think it would be really cool, and it would be a good art project. It'd be a good thing, and it would be the kind of video that people would not be interested in watching for the most part. Usually when I do kind of artsy projects, those are like my least popular videos. But it's all right because I like to do projects like that once in a while to keep my mind active. Okay, let's see. Alan had to ask his wife what a succulent was. Yeah, it's I guess you could call it a cactus, but it's not just cactus. Cactus is a succulent, but succulents are also like, think of like aloe vera. You know, the puffy leaves that you just want to squish, and anything that it grows in the desert usually. It doesn't require a lot of water, which is a requirement we have here because we live in a drought area of the country. It seems like we're always in a drought with the exception of this past winter where we got a lot of rain. And another requirement we have is deer. It has to be deer resistant because we have just deer everywhere on this open space across the street. And so they come right almost into my shop, and they eat anything. They just eat just about everything. So we have to get plants that are deer resistant. Okay, I'm going to try to catch up on some of your questions and comments here. Let me do some scrolling. Wow, it's really nice to hear from all of you guys. I'm glad. I was kind of afraid I would do a live stream and like nobody would show up. It's like you're having a party and nobody comes, you know. This is a lot of comments on here, and I really wish I could answer all of these comments. I'm just going to start to pick some randomly. Do you or Wyatt have a John Travolta Pulp Fiction UC Santa Cruz shirt? Yeah, I've got that. I wear it in my videos, and most people think I wear that shirt because of Pulp Fiction, but I actually got it at UC Santa Cruz because that's where he goes to school. And Santa Cruz is a funky town, and it's a funky school too, but it's neat. It's pretty neat. Oh, what's a solution to wide board movement? Okay, this is a common question. I get asked this a lot about expansion and contraction in lumber. I should say this is a question from, so he gets credit for the question. Juster, can't read it. I'm sorry. I need my reading glasses. Anyways, about wood movement, I think that for the most part, wood movement is too much of a concern for people. It is a concern for certain projects. If you're going to build, say, a large farmhouse table that uses, again, I think this is getting to your question about wide boards, and it's especially a problem with wider boards. You can have those kinds of wood movements. I don't have to worry about it too much where I live. The weather's pretty much constant throughout the year, but places where you get real drastic changes from dry weather to humid weather, rain and whatnot, the boards will expand. Again, I can use this. The thing about expansion is, remember, it's going to go this way. So if you have a board, the grain running this way, it's not really, I guess it could probably expand a little bit lengthwise, but for the most part, that's not a problem. It's going sideways that's the problem. And it gets more moisture in there, boom, expands. And so if you don't account for that with building methods to allow for that expansion and contraction, the board can just split. It has nowhere else to go, which is why you don't want to totally encapsulate wood on the side by gluing them all together. It's kind of hard to describe that. But anyways, there's methods to deal with that, and I guess I can't really go into all of those right now. The best way is to use fasteners. If you use screws like the underside of a table or something, and that's enough to let the boards move a little bit. But again, on smaller projects and most of the projects I build, it's not enough to worry about. If a project to me is, this big, it's never really become a problem. I suppose it could be wherever you live, but for instance, my chessboard going way back is the first project I built for Woodworking for Mere Mortals, and it was all glued up, and people ask me about that. Hasn't it cracked by now? Why hasn't it cracked? And it hasn't. And I think it's just because it's so small. So any movement on that is just going to be minute. So for the most part, don't get too concerned about wood movement unless you're making big projects, and then look into fasteners and other ways of joining that together just to let the wood move a little bit. You can actually look at old furniture, like antique furniture, and sometimes you'll see splits in it, and it's from that very reason. Okay, let me scroll through again. Hello to everybody. I like how everybody tells me where they're from. Sweden and Argentina, and it's so cool. It's like, it's our own little family here from all over the world. Somebody asked, why am I so much more stressed live? I don't know if I'm really stressed. This is probably more like how I normally am. It's just the way I am. And hey, there's Christopher from the Midwest Man Mountain commenting on my weed problem. Well, I guess I'm way back here. I can just scroll ahead a little bit. And there's like weird spam and stuff. How did the spam get on here? That's really annoying. Why are you always wearing a hat? Well, it's just kind of my uniform for the show. I don't usually wear it all the time. In fact, usually I'll wear my Raiders hat if I'm not in the shop. But I'm not sure if I'm going to keep wearing the Raiders hat after they move to Vegas. I'm still a little miffed over that whole Vegas move. Hey, Rich, thanks for the donation. That was really cool. Rich says, thanks, Steve. I've learned so much from you. I get great ideas on what I would build. I'm fairly new woodworker, but it's my new long-term hobby. Cool. I think woodworking is a good long-term hobby, Rich, because it never gets old. You're just always going to be learning new stuff, and every single project is different, and every single project comes with its own set of problems, and I have never made a project where I didn't face a problem. Things come up, every single project. In this, for instance, in the planter boxes that I just built, probably the thing I didn't foresee was the angles how could it's putting screws in those angles was just going to be difficult to hold those together, because I would try to clamp them and they would slide out. So that's why I just decided to glue those and use the glue as just kind of a holder without clamping them. And that worked out really good, by the way. I think I'm gonna use that technique in the future, just glue things without clamping them, and then add some screws. And really, you know, I don't even know if a lot of projects need clamping anyway, because I've glued things together and, you know, unintentionally, maybe something was glued to another board or something and I didn't clamp it and I can't get them apart. So I think, I don't know, glue is super strong. Let me see. Hello from the Netherlands. Man, there is a lot of spam on here. I wish there was a way to control all of that. Does that work for these spammers? You know, I don't know. And hey, thanks. Here we go. Got another super chat from Lucas. What's the best way to manage scrap wood other than the cart I have? The best way to manage scrap wood is knowing what to throw away and just don't keep it. I've got a pile outside that I was hoping to actually go to the dump this weekend. They've got an area where you can get rid of lumber and stuff, but I don't know, I've got a whole bunch of rocks in the back of my truck. But really that's what it comes down to, because if you don't manage it, the scrap wood gets out of control. Even, you know, I threw these in here yesterday. These are strips of cherry. And usually strips like this I'll just cut up and use them to stir paint with, but I put them in my wood bin, and you know, I probably should have just tossed them out, because realistically I doubt if I'm going to use these for anything, and I doubt if I did have a use for them, there's probably not going to be enough of them. So I don't know, you just have to kind of work out your own system. I used to kind of think that I would have like a size limit I would want, and I guess that's sort of a good rule of thumb. Just toss out wood that's under a certain length, but mostly it's just about thinking, is there enough of that that you can use for something, and are you realistically going to use it? But you guys know that I'm really into getting rid of things the past couple years. I like to have a clean space and a clean mind, and so I've just been getting rid of extra wood, extra tools, and that sort of thing. And Whippoorwill Woodcraft, hey, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for all you do from is that how you say it? Whippoorwill Woodcraft. Thanks a bunch. It's great to hear from you. And scrolling. Hey, I got a super chat from Russia. This one is from, oh man, I'm so sorry if I can't. I gotta get some reading glasses to bring out to my shop. Alexei, thank you. You're an honorable man, he says, from Russia with love. Honorable. I like to be called honorable. That's nice. But thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that. Okay. Still trying to catch up with I don't know how people manage the chat on here, really. It's just a lot of questions. I kind of feel guilty that I'm not able to answer all of your questions. Oh, and I got a text message from Wyatt. I guess Wyatt's watching the fish wrap. Hey, or watching my show. Hey, Wyatt. Wyatt wants to know, or he wants me to mention fish wrap. I wore the shirt in this last video. I'm sure you probably didn't know what it was, because there was just a little logo on it, and that on the back it was really good, but you probably didn't see that. And that was his shirt from Fish Wrap, which is the newspaper he writes for at UCSC. It's a a satirical newspaper. It's kind of like The Onion. But from what I understand, they have a bigger circulation than the actual campus newspaper. So that kind of makes sense. But he's got some really, really good articles he writes for that. They're really funny. And he's doing a lot of Photoshop for that. He's become like their Photoshop guru, the go-to guy for Photoshop. So he does the funny pictures on there. But it's really, you can actually look it up. If you want to see issues of Fish Wrap, go to fishwraplive.com. And it's rap, R-A-P, not rap like fish wrap. So fish, R-A-P, live.com, and you'll find it. It's kind of hard to navigate through their papers online, but it's a lot of fun. And maybe you'll see some of his articles on there. Okay, still trying to catch up. Here. Okay, got it. Wyatt said Wyatt just told me that the Fish Wrap Live website is down right now. That's a very Fish Wrap thing to do. Okay, comments are coming in fast and furious. Apologies on, there's always rude trolls. What are you gonna do? And best wishes from Denmark. Hey, love to go to Denmark someday. I would like to go to all Northern European countries. Would be awesome to see. But I'll bet it's kind of cool. Oh, somebody said the fish site got flooded. Please play Princess Meow-Meow theme. Go Raiders. Hey, got another Raider fan. Yeah. Man, I don't know what to say about the Raiders. I guess I'll still be a Raider fan, but it's just weird. The Vegas Raiders. I don't know if I can. It's hard for me to just wrap my head around that. And this season could get ugly in Oakland. I don't know. I'm not saying anything bad's going to happen, but Raider fans are pretty rabid out there in the black hole, and knowing that it's a lame duck team. Usually when a team moves, they take the team and they move them out of that city as quickly as they can, and maybe for a year or two they play in a college stadium or something. Because of that, they're kind of stuck in this place where people are angry at the whole thing. So I don't know. Hey David, hello from Israel. Hello from California. Hello from Argentina. TARDIS. Do I still have the TARDIS? Yes, people ask me about the TARDIS all the time. It's in my shed, my garden tool shed, and I set it up a few times when I built it, but I haven't done anything with it since. I thought it would be fun to take it around and take pictures of it, set it up, but the problem is that unless I was going to set it up right next to my truck, which that's no fun. You've got to carry those pieces to wherever the truck is, and it's a lot of walking back and forth carrying pretty heavy things. So I haven't really set up the TARDIS anymore, and I don't know. Are you guys still watching Doctor Who? I kind of lost interest in Doctor Who. I don't know. I haven't seen this season or not. I don't know. I don't know if it jumped the shark or not, or if I just lost interest in Doctor Who. I'm into other shows right now. Better Call Saul definitely is awesome. Let's see. Let me take some random questions. How did Woodworking for Mere Mortals and HGMM start? Woodworking for Mere Mortals, I started just because I wanted to show easy ways to do things. The concept started after I started the show. I started just by building that chessboard, and I wanted to post it online just to document what I was doing. And it was really long and boring. But once people started watching that, and then videos that I made after that, I started to notice what people really liked to watch and to see was how to simplify things and how to make simple projects. And so it hit me that, most of the content before then, especially the woodworking shows that you would see on TV, were really high end. I mean, these guys had $100,000 shops and high end tools, and it was really kind of alienating to most weekend woodworkers. But I'd like to think within the last 10 years or so since YouTube's been around, more and more people have been getting into woodworking just because it's been kind of demystified. It's not perceived as super expensive and something that you need, so much money to do. And then HGMM, I actually was inspired a couple of years ago after I went to VidCon and to see some people who were doing side channels like that. And I thought it would be really cool because it's the kinds of projects that for a while I tried to put those on Mere Minutes, my other channel, just some home improvement projects. And I realized I just don't have time to do all of that myself. So I thought it would be fun to do a collaborative channel. And that's where that all started. And it's still very much an experiment because I'm just losing money all over the place on that channel. But I'm going to keep it going at least until the end of this year, and then we're going to kind of reevaluate it and see what we can do with it. But right now it's picking up and it's doing pretty well, and I'm going to start doing more of the live streams on that channel showing the stuff and the gardening that I'm doing around the house. So I think that might help a little bit. But the creators we have on there right now are awesome. I mean, we've got Christopher doing gardening and Tom doing home improvement. We've got Jamie. If you guys haven't checked out Jamie's videos, check them out. They're really cool. She does this nerdy arts and crafts stuff. She calls it nerdy, everything's nerdy now, but it's, it's like sci-fi and Doctor Who stuff, all of that kind of stuff. And so she's been doing crafty stuff for us. And then Heather does crafts too. And Heather's got some really cool ideas that she brings in, and I'm always kind of amazed at, like, God, you came up with another really cool idea, and her videos just do really well on the channel. So those are our core 4 people we've got right now, and they're all great. Okay, let me answer a couple more questions. Have I met Nick Offerman? No, I don't know Nick Offerman. Nick Offerman was in Fargo last season. It was really good. Matt wants to know if he should get a planer. I have a planer and I don't use it as much as I used to. I think a planer is pretty handy to have because without it you're limited to 3/4 inch lumber, and there's a lot of times when you want thinner pieces of wood. I would also consider getting a band saw because that way you can, resaw a board. You can split it right down the middle and get 2 boards out of it, thinner boards. Especially if you're making smaller things, small boxes. You don't want thick 3/4 inch lumber on there. Hi from Zimbabwe. Hey. Hey, another super chat from Jason. Hey, Jason, thanks a lot. Your show has been super inspirational for me. You taught me to make panels and box joints. Woohoo, box joints. I know, that box joint jig, that thing was really fun, and it's really easy to make. I made that box joint jig in an old video, but it was just part of the video, and it was only recently, and I thought, yeah, I should do this on its own so people can see how to do this thing. Hey, from Spain. Indonesia. Wow, you guys are from all over the world. That is awesome. Lots of German woodworkers. And hey, Charlie, thanks for the super chat. I've been with you since 15,000 subscribers. Wow, that's amazing. 15,000 subscribers was a long time ago. It used to take a lot longer I should say it's kind of a double-edged sword. In one way, it took a long time to reach, say, 100,000 subscribers just because there wasn't that many people on the platform. But now you can reach 100,000 if you've got pretty compelling content. You can reach that pretty quickly, but it's more difficult to get your channel seen. So 15,000, that was a long time ago. And we've got one from, I think that's RCD 1991. Thanks for getting me into woodworking. You're welcome. Thank you for watching the show. I really appreciate that. Matt Harris, thank you. Hey, Steve, I'm a machinist from New Hampshire. Wow, that's a beautiful part of the country, by the way. I haven't been to New Hampshire, but I've been to Vermont years ago, and I always list that as like one of the most beautiful places I've been in the world. I'm a machinist from New Hampshire. You got me into woodworking. Thanks. Also, how important? Oh, I already answered your question. Sorry, you were the one asking about the planer. Or maybe it was somebody else asking for a planer. Oh, okay, I think it was. But anyways, he wants to know how important is a planer. And again, it can be. I don't think it's critical. You know, it depends upon what kind of projects you're going to make. If you're going to start doing more complex furniture and woodworking, I would definitely get a planer. Hey, somebody got introduced to the Midwest Man Mountain Christopher through HGMM. Great, I'm glad to hear that. He's got a fun channel. Are you going to expand to roller coasters for mere mortals? That's a funny question. Well, that's from Muncher. Hey, Muncher, good to see you. I met Muncher at Woodworking in America show a couple years ago, and he helped me out tremendously with setting up the meetup we had there. He ran the whole raffle. It was really cool. Him and his daughter, and she was just cute as heck. Yeah, roller coasters for mere mortals. I actually started this channel. When I started the channel, it was before I started the channel before I even posted the chessboard video, because I had the channel, and then we would do like family videos and roller coaster videos. And for like the first year of this channel, even with the woodworking videos, it was like half woodworking videos and half roller coaster videos, like POV shots. We would take the camera every roller coaster we went on and shoot the whole video of it. So it just became the point where I think I still have one roller coaster video on this channel, and it's at Santa Cruz. It's the Giant Dipper. I don't know why, I just decided to leave that one roller coaster video on the channel, but you can check it out. We are roller coaster enthusiasts, if you hadn't figured it out. Ridden, I think, every roller coaster in California. Hey, Tony Fox, just started woodworking at the age of 70. Good for you. There's no reason to ever stop. Unless you just can't walk out to the shop or something. I don't know. I'm sorry for the lull here as I'm scrolling through these. I'm still trying to catch up. I need an assistant here that could just go through and find comments for me to read. Wow, there are a lot. Side note: there are a lot of Brazilian woodworkers. So hey, to all of you in Brazil, because it's got to be one of my biggest demographics down in Brazil. I need to learn some Portuguese. Hello from Arkansas. That's from Bill. Bill, you know what? I lived in Arkansas for about 1.5 years. I lived in Rogers, Arkansas, which is in the northeast quarter near Fayetteville, which is where the University of Arkansas is. That is some hot, muggy country there. Hi from Serbia. Hey, Alex Maker. Great to hear from you. Great to hear from Serbia. Here's somebody from South Africa. Am I still doing Mere Minutes? Another common question I get. I still have the Mere Minutes channel. I haven't posted a video on there in a long time. The main reason was I just didn't have time to make the videos. It was taking up too much time on my Saturday afternoons when I could be spending that time kind of working on my next project and that sort of thing. I also want to mention before I go that a lot of you have been asking me why I'm not posting videos as often as I was. And it's because I'm working on a kind of a big project right now, and so I have to cut back my videos. I can let you know more about that. I can't say anything about it right now because I'm not sure when I'm going to get it done, because it's so hard for me to get time. Time is really my most valuable resource. So I've had to kind of cut back on the videos a little bit, but when I can, I try to get them I try to get them out every week, but I'll have a video next week. The following week, I'm going to be working on the other thing, but I think I'm going to do just a live stream on Friday. So if I can, or if I can't post a regular project video on Fridays, I'll try to do the live stream. And I'd like to try to do the live stream with the, when I post a regular video also as a follow-up. So I hope this will become a regular thing. And I hope I can get a little bit better at doing it with, because rather than just my phone, this is a little clunky, but maybe I'll just figure out how to work it a little bit better. I wish I could handle all the comments and everything a little bit better. And I wish I could archive them all so I could read them and post them. I think that would be really cool too. And then maybe I could answer those, but I don't think you can. I think after I'm done shooting the video, all of your comments just disappear. Here's one that just came in. What are my thoughts on Matthias? Matthias Wandel, I consider him a friend. I've known him for a long time. We did a collab video for April Fool's Day a long time ago. That was actually one of my favorite videos. It was really fun. We did some real fancy special effects in that one. So you might want to look that up on the channel if you get a chance. We both posted our own version of that video. But he's amazing. I mean, his mind is like totally different than mine. So it's kind of a good mix, I think. I mean, we approach things so totally differently. That's why it's fascinating for me to watch what he does and how he comes up with things. Plus, he's kind of the master of the viral video. He really comes up with some good ones, like his mousetrap videos. How much longer am I going to put off the chess pieces? That was like, this is one of like the biggest mistakes I ever made was at the very end of my first video on this channel. I said, I'll make the chess pieces will be my next project. And here it is 9 years later. I was kind of thinking about doing the chess pieces as like my 10th anniversary video, which will be next year. I think it's next April or May will be my 10th year on YouTube. So maybe I'll do that, you know? I'll revisit the chess pieces. I don't know, I get hung up on the knight for some reason. I need to, all the other pieces I could turn on the lathe, but the knight I have to get creative with. Oh, somebody's asking me about my jointer. Have I purchased a jointer? I had a jointer and I sold it. Actually, I gave it away because I took it apart. I was trying to clean it. And I thought, you know, I just don't use this thing that much. And so it was just taking up space for, you know, it's just one of those tools that I wasn't using often enough to kind of justify the space it was taking up. And that's really not the kind of woodworking I do on this show, which if I was going to do much more high-end woodworking, I would definitely get a jointer. And I would recommend one if that's, you know, what your goals are. For me, I can do edge jointing on my table saw, so I don't really need it for that. So the only part I would need jointing with would be the face of a board. And that's usually only if you're buying rough cut lumber. I always buy lumber from hardware or the lumber yard or Home Depot or something that's already planed down, so I don't really need to use the jointer to square it up. I'm gonna regret talking. I'm gonna be talking about how I regret saying this in 10 years. Yeah, probably. I'm gonna build those chess pieces. Okay, you guys, I'm getting worn out. I think my camera is probably going to die pretty soon. That YouTube live streaming takes up a lot of battery power. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. Really, this was a lot of fun, and I hope to do it more in the future. In fact, I will. I'll try to just make this a regular thing on Fridays. I don't want to say I positively will, but I'm going to try to make this a regular thing on Fridays after I post the video. And then on weeks that I can't post a regular project video, I'll try to also do a live stream. And don't forget, follow over on HGMM, because I am doing the live streams over there, and I'll be doing more. I'm doing shorter ones there, mostly just taking you around and showing you things. This weekend, probably tomorrow, I want to show you the tomato plants that we got and that we've planted, and maybe some of the issues that we're dealing with on those. The yard is a disaster. Anyways, thanks again for watching, everybody, and I will see you this weekend or next week.